As I had watched hundreds of Shark Tank episodes, this is one thing that I found out. While most people will try and look for reasons why they should invest in that particular investment, the most successful million or the billionaire investors, they will look for reasons why they should not invest in a particular investment. And when they find a reason, they'll say, I am out. And in order for them to look for reasons why they should not invest in it, they will simply prepare themselves a series of questions that they will ask.
I was sitting for 20 minutes asking for an answer.
And this is particularly important if you're a stock investor, because by constantly asking questions, we could better understand the businesses that we're investing in, and at the same time, understanding the risk associated with the investment. In fact, there is a very famous saying that goes something like this: manage the downside, the upside will take care of itself. And do you know who said this? It is the most beloved person on earth, Donald J. Trump!
People from China, they love me.
I also realized that all the questions that are being asked by the million or the billionaire investors on Shark Tank can be distilled into this SHARKS V.S.T.A.N.K checklist. So, after this video, by using this checklist, I encourage you to look for reasons why you should not invest in that particular investment that you are looking at right now. So, let's go. Before I talk about my V and S, I just wanted to skip over to my TANK part first, because that's the chronological way of assessing a company, I guess. So the T, trend. Some people may call it traction, or some people may call it momentum. When we are investing in a company, we wanted to know, is the profits growing consistently? Is the revenue growing consistently? How many customers do they have? Are the customers that they are serving growing as well? What is the trend in terms of the profit margins? What is the trend in terms of the customer acquisition costs? So these are the things that investors may want to be aware of when they are investing in a company. I mean, if you were to buy a company, would you rather invest in a company that makes consistent growing profits? So next time, if you are investing in a company in the stock market, go and check out their annual reports and look at their profits. So if the company is making consistent profits, then the next thing that we want to look at is how ambitious is the management team? How ambitious is the entrepreneur? We wanted to know, what problems are they trying to solve? If, let's say, the entrepreneur doesn't even have a vision for the company for the next 3 years, 5 years, or even they can't even see themselves in 10 years' time, well, where do you think this company is going to go 3 years' time, 5 years' time, or even 10 years' time? And at the same time, how realistic are those ambitions?
I will build a great wall, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. Mark my word.
In every single business, the entrepreneur will always say things like, oh, there's a huge opportunity in this industry. Oh, there's a huge growth opportunity. This is a really good investment for you. All companies say that. All entrepreneurs say that. They will say our company is the best investments that you can ever make. But is that necessarily true? So that is something that we as an investor should think about. So when the entrepreneur or when a company, they announce their estimated earnings for the next quarter or next financial year, we should never take their word for it, and we should think objectively. Think about whether the numbers that they are giving are rational or not. In fact, one of the most successful investors, Warren Buffett, once says, and I quote, forecasts may tell you a great deal about a forecaster. They will tell you nothing about the future. I think that sums up everything I want to say. A stands for ambition, but at the same time, A also stands for ambition versus reality. So the next thing that we want to look at is the competition. how many competitions, how many competitors are out there. When we start a business, we wanted to know how many competition are there. What is the competition like? What is the nature of the industry? I mean, if you are investing in the aviation industry, just think of how many airlines are there in the US alone. There's Alaska Airlines, United Airlines, American Airlines, Continental Airlines. I mean, there are just so many airlines in the US alone. And if you're in the retail industry, think about the competition as well. There is CVS, Walmart, Costco, Tesco, Mace, if you're in Australia, Woolworths, Coles. I don't know, there's just so many companies out there in this industry. So if you want to compete with them, then good luck. When we are starting a business, then we are basically competing with the rest of the world. And in order to stand out from the competition, we have to keep lowering our prices. And guess what? Our profits and our profit margins is gonna be really, really thin. So, do you want to be in this business? Do you want so, the next thing that we want to look at is the knowledge of the industry. So, let's say if we have a lot of knowledge in a particular industry, generally speaking, we are more comfortable to be investing in that particular industry naturally, right? When you look at Mark Cuban, when you look at Robert, they are in the technology space. So they like to invest in companies that are in the technology industry. Whereas if you look at Lori, for instance, she is known as the queen of QVC. So if there's a product that she thinks can leverage the power of QPC, and that product can communicate with the consumers effectively through a screen visually, then she's going to be comfortable to investing in it. When you look at Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, for instance, they invest heavily in the insurance and the banking industry. And why is that? Warren Buffett himself likes to call it the circle of competence. Most people, they will have some specialized knowledge about a particular industry. They will have some kind of edge over one another. If you work in the healthcare industry, then naturally you're gonna know more about the healthcare industry. If you're in the tech industry for a really long time, then theoretically you understand more about the technology industry as to compare to other industries that you know nothing about, right? So investing in an industry that you understand, investing in the industry that you feel comfortable of. So after we think about all these things, it comes to valuation. So valuation basically means that how much are you willing to pay for the company that you want to invest in. Think about it. If you were to buy a coffee shop, for instance, so how much money are you willing to pay for every dollar that they earn, right? So that concept is called the PE multiple or the earnings multiple. Now, in the stock market, they call it the PE ratio, and basically it's the same thing. I realized that most Shark Tank investors, they're only willing to pay around 5 to 10 PE multiple. Of course, I already assumed that those are good businesses that they are looking at. But they will never buy a company that has a PE ratio of 20, 30, or 40 PEs. In the stock market, I think, in my personal opinion, I think it's okay to buy companies that are selling at 20, 30, 40 PEs, as they generally in the stock market, they are more mature businesses. But it doesn't make sense for us to buy companies that are selling at 50, 60, or even 70 PEs. It doesn't matter how mature they are. It doesn't matter the growth potential. If they're selling at 60, 70, or 80 PEs, I rather don't buy it. Now, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense to pay $60 for every dollar that Amazon's earn, considering that when I look at
China.
I can just pay for 16 US dollars for every $1 that they earn instead.
What?
So I think it's a no-brainer in this case that it doesn't make sense to buy Amazon right now. Now I'm not saying that it's worth to buy Alibaba right now, but if you compare it this way, both businesses, their earnings are really consistent. They are really good businesses at the end of the day. But if you compare it side by side, clearly it doesn't make sense to buy Amazon at this price.
Nope.
So in the stock market, take the idea with you. Never invest in a stock that is trading around 50, 60, or even 70 PE. And that is just my opinion, of course. Now, the final thing that the investors will think about is the synergy. So let's say an investor, if they own a particular company already, and they think that the company that they are looking at right now can add tremendous value when both businesses join together, then that's called synergy. Now, this does not happen very often, but occasionally, sometimes investors, when they're thinking about whether I should buy this business or not, and suddenly when they look at their overall portfolio, they might be interested in buying over the company that they are looking at. So that's all basically. This is my SHARKS V.S.T.A.N.K checklist. So next time, before you invest in companies like GameStop, AMC's, Blackberries, or all that meme stocks, think about the businesses that you're investing in. Because when you're investing in a business's stock, you're basically buying the ownership of the business. Ask yourself, if you were to buy over the entire company, what are the questions that you want to know? What are the information that you wanted to know before you want to buy over the entire company? I mean, if I were to buy a business, of course, I wanted to know who's the person who's managing the company. Is this company relying on just one person? I mean, what if the CEO leaves the company? How many competitors are out there in the industry? Or how much am I paying for every dollar that they earn? Now, of course, I'm not saying these are not good investments, but I'm just saying that these might be the risk that are associated with these investments. So next time, when you are watching the Shark Tank show, I suggest you to pay close attention to what question are they asking. Anyways, invest safe, and I'll see you in my next video. So anyways, I'll just skip over the... Go away, Jesus Christ! How consistent are the profits? How... United, United, you break my guitar. 好贵啊！